What happens when a government finds it easier to buy loyalty than to earn it? When comfort is offered in exchange for power and security replaces responsibility? This is an ancient dilemma, repeated throughout history. Republics rise on the strength of self-reliant citizens, but falter when that bargain is traded away. The state grows, offering to provide for every need if only citizens comply. At first, this seems humane, even progressive, but the relationship shifts. Citizens become clients, the state their master. The promise is comfort, guaranteed income, subsidized housing, endless diversions. Yet the price is steep: initiative, resilience, and freedom itself. Citizens who no longer strive soon forget how. Communities that outsource responsibility to bureaucracy lose their bonds. History warns us, societies decline when people trade self-reliance for dependency. Liberty is not a government gift, but a right secured by vigilance and hard work. The hand that feeds can also control. The state that gives all can take all. This is the lesson etched in the ruins of empires, a warning for the modern West. The Roman Republic was built by independent farmers, citizen soldiers, who earned their freedom through labor and sacrifice. Their loyalty was not bought, but born of self-reliance. As Rome's empire grew, so did inequality. Displaced farmers crowded the city, forming a restless urban poor. In 123 BC, Gaius Gracchus introduced the grain dole, subsidized grain for every citizen. At first it seemed compassionate, preventing starvation and unrest. But it marked a turning point. The state became provider, citizens became recipients. Politicians now won support by promising more benefits, not by demonstrating virtue. The focus shifted from civic duty to entitlement. The grain dole expanded, eventually becoming a free monthly handout for hundreds of thousands. The emperor's survival depended on keeping the grain flowing. The state had bought loyalty, but at the cost of teaching citizens to depend on government, not themselves. The lesson was fatal: survival no longer required effort, only compliance. The grain dole became an institution, and dependency a way of life. Rome's strength faded as its people forgot how to be free. The seeds of decay were sown. The grain dole and state handouts eroded Roman character. The self-reliant farmer gave way to the idle urbanite. Incentives to work and innovate vanished. Dependency replaced engagement. Citizens became spectators, trading votes for benefits. The family, once the core of Roman society, weakened as the state took over its role. Bonds of necessity faded. The state became the ultimate provider. Romans shifted loyalty from family and community to the emperor and his gifts. When crisis struck, economic collapse, invasions, the people were unprepared. They had lost resilience and self-reliance, looking to a failing state for salvation. The Roman citizen was unmade, and so was the Republic. Rome's story echoes in the modern West, especially the United States. The grain dole has become a web of entitlements: welfare, food stamps, housing subsidies. These programs began as safety nets, but have grown into permanent fixtures. Politicians now win votes by promising more benefits, not by championing liberty. The government is no longer a distant protector, but a primary provider for millions. Dependency creates a powerful psychological shift. Citizens become clients, reluctant to challenge the hand that feeds them. Tens of millions now rely on government assistance, forming a permanent constituency for bigger government. Attempts at reform are met with fierce resistance. The conversation is no longer about fostering independence, but managing dependence. We have traveled far down the Roman road, trading responsibility for the security of the welfare state. The true cost of the welfare state is generational. The first recipients remember self-sufficiency and see aid as temporary. The second generation grows up with government support as the norm, learning to navigate bureaucracy instead of striving for independence. By the third generation, self-reliance is forgotten, replaced by learned helplessness. Family structures fragment as the state replaces the family as provider. This cycle breeds poverty of spirit and ambition, not just resources. A nation's greatest resource, initiative and ingenuity, atrophies. Dependency becomes a permanent status, not a temporary condition. The dependent citizen is not free, but a ward of the state. This is the quiet catastrophe unfolding in many Western societies. The entitlement state is a slow poison, weakening the core of a free society. Work loses its central role. Discipline and purpose erode. A society that devalues work loses its dynamism and shared purpose. The family, once the first school of responsibility, is undermined as the state becomes provider. Community bonds fray, neighbors become strangers as government replaces local support. Civil society weakens, replaced by impersonal bureaucracy. The result is a brittle, fragile society, unprepared for crisis. When disaster strikes, a dependent populace looks only to government for rescue, but a government that fosters dependency may be overwhelmed by endless demands. The slow poison, unchecked, leads to systemic failure. The body politic collapses from within. The entitlement state is not just social support, it's political control. Dependency creates a loyal constituency for the ruling class. Elections become contests over government spoils, not liberty. Politicians promise more benefits, expanding dependency and their own power. True empowerment comes from independence, not permanent adolescence. A dependent population is compliant, unlikely to challenge authority. This is not a conspiracy, but the natural logic of a system built on patronage. If dependency leads to decline, renewal must start at the roots, individual, family, and community. The family is the first government, teaching work, duty, and sacrifice. Strong families build strong societies. We must honor and rebuild them. Communities must revive civil society, churches, charities, neighborhood groups. Local help is personal, accountable, and transformative in ways government cannot match. Compassion means empowering people to achieve self-sufficiency. We must see dependency as a temporary hurdle, not a permanent status. The path back is hard, but it is the only way to restore a society of free, responsible citizens. We stand at a crossroads, much like late Rome. The choice, the comfort of dependency or the responsibilities of freedom. Dependency is easy, promising security in exchange for compliance. Freedom is hard, demanding self-reliance and risk, but offering dignity and self-determination. History shows republics cannot survive on bread and circuses alone. Liberty requires engaged citizens who defend their rights, not clients of the state. The stakes are high. Our future depends on whether we choose comfort or the hard work of freedom. The lesson of Rome is clear. Only a culture of responsibility can sustain a free nation.